Okay, ladies and gentlemen, obviously at this point you realize that I'm not here. And if these videos don't work for you, I completely understand, but I figured I'd give this a try as soon as you guys got to this. So at this point, you should have already gone through your fluency and gotten your SMART score of 100 on graphing your horizontal and vertical lines. You can see that you should have also found yourself here on Google Classroom for Math IXL, finding the number of solutions. You must do at least 10 questions. I'm able to check to see whether or not you've done this or not. And you're showing your work in your packets. Now, these are spicier level problems that you might get to in your 10 questions. However, I want to be able to walk you through this since both of these equations are in standard form and not in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form being y equals mx plus b, where y is isolated on the left side. Now, if you're looking at both of these equations, there are going to be two steps that you have to take care of in order to isolate your variable. In order to isolate your variable, you have to use inverse operations. The inverse of this positive 4x is a negative 4x, subtracting 4x on both sides. That makes this y equals negative 4x plus 4. Very simple step. Same thing here. Positive 4x means that I need to subtract 4x from both sides. This gives me y equals negative 4x minus 1. If you remember from the IXL lesson from the other day, you're going to use those same steps for graphing. Just be patient as you guys are taking care of business. My m is negative 4. My b is positive 4 for this first equation. My m is negative 4. My b is negative 1 for the second equation. For this top one, you'll go to your b. My negative 4 is my slope. If I wanted to make that a fraction, I'd put it over 1. Negative on the numerator means that I go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 for my slope. Positive 1 to the right. You obviously aren't drawing your lines, so you don't have to worry about this being not straight, like how I have this right here. My second line, I'll do it in pencil. Make sure that you click the different color to graph this in IXL. My y-intercept is negative 1. My slope is the exact same, down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right, 1. I'm doing this terribly. But you can see that the two lines are parallel. They have the same slope. I could have told you that before I even graphed them. Therefore, I'm going to mark that these lines are parallel. How many solutions rather do parallel lines have? None. If I were to check this answer, it would be correct. Be sure that your lines are in slope-intercept form before you graph. You have 10 problems to do that are just like this, where you have to write the equations, write what type of line they are, write how many solutions, and double check your work. You go through all of that. Give yourself a brain break after you finish that. Your next set of practice is finding the number of solutions to a system of equation by graphing. You need to do at least 6 questions, and checking whether or not you can do this or not on my end is going to be very important. Now make sure that you follow along with your calculator steps. I'll give you an example. Let's say y equals negative 3x plus 7 and y equals 2/3 x minus 2. I'm literally finishing up. If you guys, it'll be like 1 minute. If you guys don't mind waiting for 1 minute. Yeah, they can listen to me talking for a minute. These are my two equations. They're both in slope-intercept form. Graph negative 3x plus 7. Graph, if I'm doing fractions, make sure that you put parentheses around. Those of you who are on the art field trip might have a hard time with this, so don't worry about it. If you don't get this, all of these steps are right here. You're going to put your y1 and your y2 in your graph. Push graph. It says to adjust the window to make sure that you can see the point of intersection if there is one. You might have to adjust your window. Now this is what we did when you guys were not here if you were on the art field trip, but you got to push this zoom button Maybe you have to play with this a little bit. Maybe you have to zoom in, maybe you have to zoom out, maybe you have to use the standard, or I also like the square one. You can just push 5. As long as you can see the point of intersection, that's what you guys are going to need to see. Now to calculate the point of intersection, you're going to push second and then trace. That means calculate. Second and trace, which is calculate. What am I going to use? I'm going to use 0.5. Intersection. Push enter. First curve, according to my directions, you just push enter. That means that the calculator needs to find the first line. Second curve means the calculator needs to find the second line. Guess, you push enter again. There's your point of intersection. Now I just randomly made up these equations. So that's why the point looks really funky. It has a bunch of these decimal answers. But in IXL, they will be much neater, and you'll be able to tell if the solution is correct or not. And that's how you do it in the calculator. You're going to try 6 of those. And after you finish all 6 of those by showing your work in your packets, then you guys have an exit ticket on quizzes. After that, you're welcome to do what you guys need to. Make sure that you guys are sitting in your assigned seats. You guys know how I feel about all of that when you argue with the subs about that. Make sure that you put in your laptops in the proper spots and plug them in. And I will see you guys when we get back. Love you all.